In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, well, hello, hello, hello. Of course, it is not Dr. Chen. It is the visionary Queen Angela. I don't know what is going on. Y'all know Dr. Chen is over in one of those areas where sometimes she may have connection issues. It may be something going on. We never know. But guess what? I'm always on standby. I'm always ready. I'm always willing to go ahead and go forward. So, tonight, y'all know I'm not going to be before you long, but I just had to make sure that I'm in place because we said that we will be on Sunday through Friday, 8 o'clock. So, 8 o'clock, we on. All I can say is I'm keeping to what we're supposed to be doing. So we're supposed to be bringing you content. So I'm going to give you something. It may not be what you're expecting because um, Dr. Chen is Dr. Chen and I am Angela. So hey, y'all know what I want to talk about. Y'all know I just can't get this. I just cannot get this current state of America out of me. I just for the likes of me, I just cannot let it go. I do have someone on the phone with me because I'm always talking to my y'all like these hosts like they not just like hosts. They family to me. So when you see me talking about half pint, Travita, that's my little sister. She reminds me so much of me. I say she's my half pint because if she stand beside me, she like half the height of me. But she remind me so much of me. Every time I see her on this podcast talking, when I see her standing up in front of the room talking, whatever it is that she's doing, she constantly reminds me of me. So that's my half pint. Everybody on this podcast, I could truly tell you a story about them and what they truly mean to me, but I'm not going to do that. I want to talk about the current state of America. And I got my friend on here. I talk to this little lady every day. Shanette.
Yes.
Hey, girl. So I was talking to Shanette, y'all, and y'all know I'm in Georgia right now. So I was seeing these things flying around and they are not airplanes and they cannot tell me, yeah, I'm by the airport, but those are not airplanes. I know what airplanes look like because I ride on them all the time and I ride on them at nighttime, so I see out the window what they look like, the colors that they are, and all of this stuff. So I'm just looking around and it's like they just keep going around and around and I'm just counting them as they come and I'm just telling Shanette, there go another one. There go another one. They go another, and then they moving too fast. They not moving like airplanes. I'm seeing airplanes fly by too. So I'm like, really, what is this? So I'm thinking, I'm saying, okay, well, maybe it's something to do with Amazon because we do have a huge Amazon up the street. So somebody y'all Google that for me. See what's going on. See if y'all can find out what is going on around the Atlanta airport in the air traffic area. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on. We talk about all of this Starlink and all of these different things that is happening. So Shanette and Patrice is on too. I hope she's ready for this too.
Patrice is on.
She's in the feed. I see her on, Travita's on, and we just gonna have a conversation. That's what we gonna do. Look, I don't know
Well,
what I just did, but
look, you straight surprised me because I'm sitting here driving and next thing I know I'm on live with you.
well, Dr. Shan is in the building too. So we gonna turn it over
Okay.
to her. Yes, she's here.
Well, hello,
each and every one of you for being able to hold space.
Well, we can hear you,
Oh,
and
wonderful.
we here.
Okay,
If
so let me
if you
just go
drop
back and
off,
get my.
we here. We got you.
Okay, give
Shanette
thanks.
is
Give
in the
thanks.
background. I was actually on the phone with her, so we was just having a conversation right before we jumped on live. So we ready. We stay ready,
Oh,
but we gonna give it
fantastic.
to
Well,
you.
first and foremost, please stay because I prefer for this to be collective because it's going to be somewhat short because I'm literally standing outside under an awning in a historic building. So that for whatever reason, this building was built like in the uh, late 1700s, and it's not permitting the internet signal. And I didn't know that. I thought it would have been a nice ambiance to add since March is honored as International Women's Month, obviously to really highlight the achievements, the engagements of our women folk globally, right? And there's a lot of things that are happening with the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women that I think is really important for us as sisters around the crew podcast to just keep our energies going and flowing because we've got authors, poets, scientists, artisans, all types of healers, spiritual leaders, activists, inspirational speakers, and much, much more right amongst us. And then here in the Virgin Islands, the month of March is also designated as the Virgin Islands History Month. So it allows us to use each day in March to highlight not just one, not just two, but a multiplicity of Virgin Islanders, persons that are born here, that have contributed here, that worship here, that recreate here, that labor here in terms of their engagements in uplifting Virgin Islands history, culture, traditions, education, achievements, and much more. And what's funny is I'm literally standing in front of a building that is a space called Hamilton's House. So if you look in the back of me, you're going to see these wonderful paintings and illustrations of the Alexander Hamilton, who, while born in the island of Nevis, he grew up as a youth and studied here in St. Croix. And then on the other side of this space called Hamilton's, there's also a picture, another painting of another one of our historical icons, the Honorable David Hamilton Jackson, who was an African born Virgin Island, well, then Danish West Indies. He was a labor leader. He was a publisher. I want to highlight that because he really pushed for the first Liberty newspaper here in the Virgin Islands. Now, that was then the Danish West Indies. And he was a judge and a lawyer and a bunch of other things, in addition to being a significant contributor to all things here in the Virgin Islands. So I just wanted you all to be aware of where I'm standing, where I'm at. This is on Company Street in the Isle of St. Croix, the largest Virgin Islands in the United States, 84 square miles. We're St. 2 square miles, where St. John is 20 square miles. And our fourth island that people tend to overlook is Water Island, which is 2 square miles. So this just gives us an opportunity to be in the space to talk about how we're able to bring some of these conversations around Virgin Islands history, heritage, and culture, as well as International Women's History Month, or what some people refer to as just International Women's Month. And I think that with that, my intention was to have the opportunity to share with our viewers and listeners a little bit more about some of the activities that are forthcoming during this month. There are a number of historical, cultural, tradition, spirituality, science, and arts initiatives that are being spearheaded here in the Virgin Islands, regardless of all of the silence and quietness around DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, we're learning that many of our non governmental organizations, many of our community based organizations, our civil society organizations are using this as a time to repair the damages done amongst our humanity that's shared. And I'm really excited to just be able to share that short piece, that short snippet of how we're moving beyond the distractions or the limitations or the anger mismanagement. I come to find these things as anger mismanagement when we start to talk about how we look at what's happening nationally that's impacting our global communities and how our women folk work alongside with our men folk, our youth, our elders, and all in between to be able to show a layer of respect, a layer of a layer of engagement of how we bring truth as power in a variety of things. The other part that I desire to share with the group, and I say F-R-A-M-I-L-Y, sisters, since we're speaking about International Women's Month, with the Gullah Geechee community in the 48 contiguous U.S. There was a recent international Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Conference that was hosted at Coastal Carolina University. I want to send a special shout out to CCU and all of its administration and staff for making that a very resounding, successful gathering. And I want to send a special shout out to Sister Queen Zenobia, who I did not get a chance to speak with her at length, but she was really instrumental with her team of other sisters as well as brothers that work together and their students to work together to really give an international voice, an international publication opportunity that brought brothers and sisters literally from the 48 contiguous US, other parts of the Caribbean, Canada, as well as Suriname. And there were
Shout out
several
Conway.
publications. Say it again.
As they shout out Conway.
Of course, definitely shout out, right? Because I'm grateful for that. What was powerful was to see the number of publications. We got some serious authors on this side of the Atlantic, and I really am excited to be able to share, some of these persons that were coming from different. Primarily, the women were who I had a chance to be able to have opportunities to interface and speak with during that time in South Carolina. And I'm looking forward to being in a place where I have full signal and I don't have any limitations
So you was in
in
South
regards
Carolina?
to highlighting, yes,
You was in Conway?
for about 3 days.
You was in Conway?
Yes. Excuse me?
Wow.
I
That's where I
know it
just
was
moved
very
from.
last minute.
Yeah.
I'll take my blows. I swallow
Wow.
that because it was
No, I don't live there no more,
literally
so you okay. My sister's there, but I don't live there no more. You would have been
grateful.
if I
But
had
I,
have been there, you would have been right around the corner from me. I used to
oh
live
my
around the
heavens.
corner.
Yes, yes. And there were so many things that were happening in that space. And it
The
gave us
fire.
greetings, Brother Ray. Right? I just want to highlight that this brother just walking the back of me is one of the baddest musicians and historians right here. This is Brother Ray Isles. I know that make you laugh, but I am on a live. But I just am amazed that there was so many different elements of culture, heritage, technology, arts, and sciences that were shared in that experience. And the number, like I had an opportunity to work alongside Dr. Alethea here in Rainer in in that experience, and we did a presentation where we showed the connection between the Gullah Geechee corridor, the heritage, etc., in the 48 contiguous U.S., and we showed the tie to our Maranaj and our Maroon Sanctuary lands and personage here in St. Croix and the wider Caribbean that took us as far south as, it took us to Jamaica, it took us to Suriname. We had a chance to speak of Maranash throughout different parts of the Caribbean. And that particular presentation we should have posted in the next couple of days. And that way persons can, we're always encouraging persons, look at the content on AST Speaks, ASTSpeaks on
Wow.
YouTube. And then that way persons can see, and we always are looking for the positive critique and feedback, because these are the types of presentations that we're now shifting from just a presentation for intellectual exchange, but actually publishing that work, creating that book, creating those collections of essays of the great work that is being done. And again, the highlight has been around International Women's Month, Virgin Islands history coming out of February that highlighted African Black History Month. So I'm going to pause, put a pin there. I want to thank everyone that's been able to listen and share. And I will make sure that I double check when I think people have working internet. We had some rain, so I realize sometimes our services shift. And so hopefully it'll get turned back on in the next few hours, and I'll be able to join again on the first and third Thursday at 8 p.m. because on March 9th, we have daylight savings. So while in the 48 contiguous, you go forward an hour, will then be on the same time with Atlantic Standard Time and Eastern Standard Time. But I hope that I've covered some things that are of interest. I'm looking forward to being able to keep this flow of the 100 Authors Initiative, some of our aspiring author initiatives, those that are within our group that get email and might forget to give a response. Just give a little quick shout out so that we know that you're working on your publications and getting things in order. And for those that might forget, we know that Sister Queen, visionary Angela, will remind you regularly, right? So I just want to highlight that. And with that, we're going to close out since we have some limitations in some of our technologies right here for tonight. Anything else
Wow.
further you think I need to cover, Sister Queen?
No, you good. That I mean, that's good, but it's just a small world because Patrice down there in Charleston, Gullah Gucci area, um Zach that's in the 100 Authors movement, he's Gullah Gucci. He that's in his bio.
Oh, nice.
Yes, y'all need to connect.
Nice. Nice.
He's part of the
Well, we're
100
going to get
Authors
it right
movement.
because there's a lot of partnerships. Yeah, there's some
And
wonderful partnerships. And like we met some folks, like I need to, in our next podcast, I know I'm going to take some qualitative time to pull that program so I can go through the number of persons that are linked to that international Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor, and then all of the different agencies that they're looking for to support and provide resources and to expand economic development opportunities. They're looking to be able
you
to
heard
have that
Patrice.
parallel source for persons that want to publish about Gullah Geechee, live about, share the lifestyle of Gullah Geechee. I mean, I saw sisters and brothers that have all kinds of crafts, all types. It was a whole artisans network right there in
Man,
Conway. It was beautiful.
I'm telling you, I went to an event down there in Charleston. Patrice came
Yes.
out there. I think that was the first time me and Patrice met in person. And the lady was down there. She was teaching different calls and different things that they say and things that they be doing, and she was just doing different stuff. Like, it was fun. They did dancing, they did some dances, and if I'm not mistaken, Patrice's daughter, her school is connected to the Gullah Geechees. If I'm not mistaken.
Wonderful, wonderful,
But she
wonderful.
on here,
Well, I
Patrice
know that
on
we
here.
have, but what I'm going to make sure that we do is have that as part of our discussion so that it doesn't, my guests can just be our other sister queens that know even more than what I'm sharing, because I think it's really critical for persons to know that there were a number of opportunities. I don't want to keep coming back to that on economic development drivers, economic development initiatives, so that the Gullah Geechee traditions, culture, heritage, arts, science, education, all of that are highlighted, respectfully supported, and sustained. I want to highlight that part, that they're respectfully and sustainably preserved. Like, that was the part that I thought was, I didn't know they had a whole commission. They're getting ready to celebrate 20 years of having their respective heritage area, World Heritage initiatives in place in 2026. So there were a lot of persons, not, I don't remember all their names, but I was really touched to know the connections that it has with the international stretch and reach of the Gullah Geechee, because when in the 48
Right.
contiguous we say Gullah Geechee, in the Caribbean we may say Marinage, in other parts of the Caribbean you're going to say Garifuna or Kiskea. You're going to always be speaking of those indigenous, ancestral, original people that held on to our original ancestral native culture. So I'm full. I'm really full. I'm really full and honored. So with that one, before this clicks out again, because I'm sitting under this light to keep this going, I want to thank you and the viewers and listeners for just giving me an opportunity to share in such a short amount of time. Because we know, Queen Mother Dr. Chinzera can go on for an hour, but I want to respect my access points right now. And thank everyone for listening, tuning in, being part of building a new legacy here with the Crew Podcast. This is Queen Mother, Dr. Chinzira, moving it forward. Give thanks. You know that, Ray. Keep it going. Always, always. I hear you. Give thanks. We have Virgin Islands historians, right, walking on in town offering content and telling me next time I need to invite them formally to our podcast. So that will be happening for sure, for sure. But thank you, Sister Queen, our visionary, Angela, for just giving us this platform and the opportunity to move this type of content proactively forward. And greetings and good night to everyone.
Well, thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.